Okay. Hello. So, hello everybody. Nobody's watching right now because there's been a Facebook glitch this morning, but that's fine because today we're talking about resilience, and we have discovered as a group this morning that we've needed to be resilient. We've needed to pivot. You might have heard that spoken since all this began. You might have heard that said before. We need to be on our toes, ready to pivot. So we pivoted this morning, and what that means is we can't go live. It's not interactive, but we're recording this as we speak, and we will put the link on each of our pages or profiles during the morning. So that's going to be all absolutely fine. So we're talking about resilience. I'm going to bring some other people in. I'm not going to start talking about it first myself in full. But what I would like to say, to set us off with, is all of these qualities like resilience or patience or courage or whatever you might like to think, I want to let you know that you do have it installed. You're not without it. In the north, where I come from, there's a saying that we might make about some people, because we weren't always PC in the north. And so we might say, oh, he was behind the door when common sense was given out. None of us were behind the door when resilience or any of the others were given out. It's an app that's already installed in us. And what we need to be learning, if we don't feel resilient, what we can do then is learn to dig it out, learn how to connect with it, and then how to develop it. So who would like to, who's really keen to set us off today? Would one of you like to go first, or do I have to choose?
Choose.
Okay, Kate, can I ask you to kick us off with this?
Just unmute myself. Yeah, hi Linda, hi everyone. Yeah, so my take on resilience is firstly, as you say, we've all got everything we need already inside of us, and I see it really like if you imagine that you have all the ingredients in the world to create whatever you want to create food-wise, so like a meal, you have every ingredient there, it's already available to you, and whatever ingredients we pick and how we mix them together, that's how, and we create whatever we want to create with those. And so we have all of those ingredients already available, and so it's really a case of being able to find those within. And I believe all change comes from inside out. And so it's a case of how do we tap back into all those resources we already have? And also, how do we download more from wherever we need to? So it's a case of opening up. I believe that it's this closing up. Often I find with clients is they tend to feel very restricted somewhere, usually around the heart somewhere. There's a feeling in the chest of tightness and tension. And when you can open that up again and just realize that you already have everything you need, and that energy then will flow from within and also into you from outside. And then from that, amazing things can happen and you can do anything. And that when people start realizing that maybe they're creating their own reality and they can change that reality, then that realization alone can be very empowering, just to know that they can change what's happening out in the world, because maybe they're creating it themselves, and then how they can then tap into that, the power that's within to make those changes outside. That's all. It's all about understanding who you are, what's driving you, where are those resources, where are they being blocked in some way, and then it's not a case of getting around the block or trying to get over it or ignoring the block. It's a case of powering through it and getting through that block and then leaning into it. What is it? What is the thing that's holding me back? Understanding it, accepting it and understanding it and learning from it, and then it just melts away. You don't have to try and beat against it. So I think one thing I have about resilience is it's not fighting something. A lot of people see resilience as I've got to steel myself and fight, and I put more armor on, and I'm, it's releasing that, letting go of that, accepting what's happening, learning about it, and then it just melts away, and then you can move through it. So that's my initial thoughts anyway.
Great, that's fantastic, Kate. Could I ask you, for those people who may watch this video, to whom this is all new, these are new ways of thinking about ourselves, and new terminology. I wonder if you could, so that if you like the layperson who has never thought about doing any of this stuff before, could you give them a starting point? How could you help them to connect with their limitation and to let it go? What can they do to do that?
I think my really good technique that I find it's really about getting into your body and finding what's going on in there, because this, like I was saying before, feeling this tension, this restriction, where is this feeling? You might not even know what's going on, but what's happening inside of me? What am I feeling now? I feel uncomfortable. There's something I'm not happy about, or I'm raging against, or I'm sad, or whatever, but where is this feeling in my body? What is that like, and what is that feeling? And then we do what we call some modalities, where we say, okay, you could say, well, if it were an animal, what would it be? Or what color is it? Is it moving? Is there a temperature? Is it warm? Is it cold? Try and work with what it is, and then whatever's happening, I get a lot of people that have they have a tension around their hearts. So usually there's like a sphere, like a heavy metal hard thing around their heart. So with that, I would say, well, how do you make that softer? What can you do? Can you take some of the color out? If it's dark, maybe let's take the color out of that. What happens? What's underneath that if you take the color out? Just imagine the color coming out, disappearing into the ground, or floating over the horizon and disappearing into the sky. And then usually under that, you'll find there's something lighter and brighter underneath, because underneath all of that will be energy and power and light. And when they get to tap into that, then that heals the pain or whatever there is that's in there. And often there'll be an emotion trapped in there with it. And if we can allow that to come out by saying, well, what is the feeling? Okay, I'm feeling guilty. Well, what's guilty? And just allow yourself to feel that guilt, and then drop underneath it. What's underneath the guilt? What comes up for you now? And then you can just try and do that. I know this isn't easy stuff to do on your own, and but it does get better with practice, and you can just try and just feel the feeling, sit with it, and say, okay, what is this saying to me? And then allow yourself to drop underneath it and say, what's under that? Oh, under guilt. Well, there's a bit of anger. Okay, well, what colour's the anger? And where's that in your body? And then you can just keep playing around with it and keep moving around. And eventually, you're underneath all these feelings, you'll come up with something positive is under there. There's something good and something bright and something lighter. And you work your way through it. You just go through the layers like peeling an onion until you get to the core of you, which is this light, loving, powerful person. And it's just a case of keep peeling off the layers until you get to that place.
That's fantastic. So what we're saying for those that are new to this as well is we're setting them free to play, aren't we? You've given some indications where they can start that playing. Start by everyone knows, I know this from my work, everyone knows where they feel things, where they feel a limitation. Everybody knows. Never has anyone said to me, well, I don't know, I don't even know what you mean. They go, oh, well, it's here, or it's here, or wherever it is, don't they? So that's your starting point. That's a great starting point. Thanks.
Can I just add one other quick thing as well? Often there's movement with it. And I found a really interesting technique is that if like they've got a swirling, it's often quite swirly and messy and moving. Sometimes it's just spinning. And I say, sometimes if they could say, right, okay, so there's this, so I say, well, just trace it with your finger outside. So show me how it's moving. So if it's in their head and it's here, and I say, well, so they say, okay, it's moving like this at the moment. So I say, okay, well, just keep going, take it and just ask that feeling to come out of you, out of your head or your belly or wherever it is, and just attach to your fingers so you're moving together now. And then just ask it to come right outside of you and keep moving. And then when you're clear, when it's all there outside of you, and often there, any pain or anything's just gone then. So you can do this with pain as well as any other feeling, any emotion. And then you say, well, okay, once it's stopped, you're sure it's there on your finger, okay, now just slow your finger down, just get it to stop. And then what happens if you turn it the other way? And unwind it now. What's happening now to that feeling? And you can play with that. That's another way of doing it. So I just thought I'd mention that while it came to my head.
Yeah. That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Kate. Really, I love that
as well.
Really
that resilience is something that we learn over time as well, because no one's just born with this. It's like resilience comes from learned things that we go through in life, and every time that we get knocked down, whoever we are, and we actually build ourselves back up and realise consciously that we can get through that, and you look back at the other side, you're building your resilience and going with the flow, not fighting a flow of emotion. Every time we listen to our bodies and just kind of trust in ourselves and trust in the universe and trust that it's all meant for us, we're building resilience, and it's definitely a learned behavior, which we've all got.
Yes, you're right, Danielle. And something I want to say is actually, what do we mean by resilience? What we mean by resilience is bounce back, don't we? We don't mean nothing will trouble us.
No.
We don't mean we might not feel anything. We might not feel anything. We might not feel cross or upset or whatever. But it's how long do you take to bounce back?
Exactly.
And if at first you as you say, it's learning, it's there, it's installed, but learning how to use it, learning how to bounce back is something that takes time. And
can I add something here?
Yes, do come in.
Yes, because this is a great point in terms of you already have this experience inside and also learning, so they're both valid and true. And what I usually do with my clients, I just had a session this morning with one of my clients, and she told me, I don't know how to take decisions. And the question that I asked her is, when is it last time that you did take a decision? So one way to bring it forth from the past experience, or even from that database that we are all equipped with unconsciously, is to remind them, when is it last time that you've been through a time like this, when you had to be resilient? And usually the unconscious mind, the neurology, goes in through the database and searches and scans quickly for information. And most of the people have had an experience of the sort in the past. I'm pretty sure that all of us here and all of us listening might have an experience in the past when they've been through kind of challenging situations, like what we call adversity and trauma and stuff like that, and they came out well out of it. So a way to bring it forth is to remember these memories and actually take these memories and reinforce them, enhance them, make them into big pictures, make them more colorful, more powerful, and then simply ask the unconscious mind to make that become the background, the more important memory that is available to your unconscious one, to your neurology now, and act with that. So that's one thing we can do. And another thing that I do is simply, I ask people to go in the now state. I don't remember who showed it to us last time. And to go in the now state and simply invite, and this is a very simple exercise anybody can do, just you sit and then you invite the state that you want to have. Because there is a reason for all of us to want to feel more courage, because for our children, for our parents, our grandparents, we need to access this. There's no, it is impossible not to want it. It is impossible not to have it. Now, we are kind of pushed. Our lifestyle was kind of lazy and stressful at the same time. Lazy in the sense that we are letting the society taking care of us, and that sense of security has been developed by the society. So we are less responsible with our own selves, with our own body, with our own minds. I'm expecting the doctors or the psychologists to do it, but actually this is my job. As a human being, this is my job to awaken and develop this quality. So now it's an opportunity. So a way to do it, you just go into the now state, you sit there and you simply invite, just saying these words, you know, in that type of a bit of a trance state or a meditative state where you are more connected with your unconscious mind. You just say, unconscious mind, please awaken in me or reveal in me this state of resilience, the state of courage. And then you wait and you wait and you listen, as if you wanted to listen to a very, very delicate sound. I like to use sound because that's the best way to concentrate on something. Usually people go there and I try to find a state. But when you listen, then it's easier, because we all know how to listen and have to make the ears very, very aware. So just stay there and listen. And there is a specific state. I like what Kate said. There is a specific state in your body. And you, in order to recognize that state of resilience, you need to know your body. How does that resilience feel in your body? How does it feel? Where does it feel? So that's the point I wanted to, I don't want to take too much time, but I had to say it.
Yes.
Back to you, Linda. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Susanna. Yes, that was lovely. And we did do the now state, didn't we? So if you're listening for the first time today, go back through our videos, and in one of them, we did go through how to get into your now state, very powerful state. And that's lovely, Susanna, to say what we can do from that position. And it reminds me of one of, in NLP, we have a view of things that nothing actually just happens to us or just comes upon us. We actually do them. So we do a lack of resilience, or we do resilience. So other questions you can ask yourself are, when I'm not feeling resilient, how do I do that? How do I sit? What do I do with my face? What do I think in my head? What do I say to people? How do I breathe? Do so lots of sighing and whatever. And then you can consider, you have this information, you can consider people you know have resilience. So what do they do when they have resilience? And then you can copy that, can't you?
Yeah, and it's also having courage. It's having courage to know that you can take responsibility for how you are feeling, and that you have an attitude that you can be resourceful and empower yourself, and that there will always be a way. Just having courage and trust that there will always be a way forward. And even if you're in a bit of a dark place, that light will come, it will shine. And just to settle, to get in that now state, to get in the present from the first person, and just trusting that it will come to you, because it will. It just does. We're here. We are humans, and humans are incredible people. You know, humans are, we're very special, all of us, and we've got everything we need. We have all the resources we need.
Let me jump in maybe into all this and resilience. I think, yes, we do all have it, and for me this is one of the most powerful skills that one has, to bounce back. But also it is important to acknowledge that sometimes when you're in a deep end and you get emotionally challenged by whatever would require resilience from you, it takes a little while to actually decide to bounce back and make that move. And us as well, it's very important to bring people to understand that it's okay to welcome that difficult emotion that is there. And one of the I would say not trick, but technique that I use, and I certainly use it a lot on myself, as you know, when life brought me a bit of a challenge when I lost my husband 2 years ago. And resilience, it's something that I really had to work on and you know, auto-coach myself, auto-coaching to go through that. And one of the question was, yes, it's difficult. It can be a small issue, it can be a bigger issue, but nevertheless, the emotion is always the same, right? And the intensity of the emotion, it's still there. So that would be, should there be any hidden, how would you call it, hidden treasure into that. And should it get better, what is there for me to learn into there? And try to tap into, when I'm going to bounce back, what is it that I want to feel? And then bounce back on what you were saying, Kate. Where do I feel it? How will I feel it when I get that? And so on. And what does it teach me about it? Do I really want to get double pain? Because if you're not resilient, this is exactly what happened, right? You take the first difficulty, and then you carry on because you believe it's for me, resilience. It's complete opposite of victimization. You empower yourself to make that choice, to have control over the situation, environment, your emotion, but be actor. Just act on it. And the challenge is just to bring people in a soft way, because our first reaction is not to be resilient. I mean, we train to it and eventually we get, but it takes a while to train. And for me, that's the empower role that we have as well. I said, okay, it's hard, but if you have to be resilient, that's in you. How do you get there?
Yeah.
Mm. And powerful questions are definitely a tool to just plant that little seed. If there was to be, I like that sentence, a hidden treasure, or something that makes you grow out of that. What do you think that would be? And then tap into it, and something comes out automatically.
Absolutely.
It's great. It's absolutely great, isn't it? We have all this installed. We are powerful. We often don't know that we're powerful, but we are powerful, and this stuff works. What I'd like to say most of all today is everything you're listening to, listen to it with an open mind, and give it a try. Will it be okay to just give it a try in the privacy of your mind? This is all you're doing. You're playing in your mind, in the privacy of your own mind. How can you fail? You cannot fail. You're just trying something. And everyone here, we've still got 2 people to come to. Everyone here knows this. We have learned this, and we have learned to trust it. We know it is so. So just give it a try. So Lee, I won't forget you, but could I come to Benjamin next? Because I've not met Benjamin before. So could I call you forth, Benjamin, for your input?
Benjamin, are you there, sweetheart? Because your
maybe he's not.
And his video's not one. I don't know if he's actually here yet. Benjamin, if you go off mute, then I'll be able to see you. Maybe we'll go to Lee and then.
So let's go to you, Lee.
Cool, thank you. Firstly, apologies for bouncing off and on. I'm having a few technology moments.
It's okay.
But you know, I did miss a little bit, but I think, you know, what you're talking about, the bouncing back and the resilience is when you work, I'm just astounded by the amount of resilience you're seeing around the world, about how things are automatically changing, how people are beginning to reinvent themselves. And starting to open their minds up to different things. Learning that it's okay to go online and to talk to somebody over the air, or to listen to somebody you don't even know, and think, okay, well, I can get that piece of information, that's valuable, that's not. And use like a sieve, you know, when with NLP, you know, it sort of comes in and gets to, okay. Everything communication-wise we take in is deleted, distorted, or I can't even think of the word right now. Anyway, I don't know, but it's like, thank you. If you want to see it as a kind of like a sieve, and that basically you're taking all of this massive information in, you're looking at Facebook, we're looking at this, we're looking at that. What are you going to hold in your sieve? What are you going to let flow out? And what are you actually going to hold in that sieve that's valuable, that you can work with, and that's going to bring the ability for you to feel what you want to feel? Because it goes back to what Kate was saying, and it's these feelings that you have to like attune to and say, how do I want to feel? Am I okay with this? Am I not? You know, what am I willing to retain, and what do I not want to retain? But also by looking at others, because this mass of resilience of people coming out and just doing different things, it's within us. Who said earlier it's like little apps inside of us? That, you know, the app is there. We just need to take it out and use it. And I think that's sort of coming up with people as they're having to spend time on their own, as they're having to, you know, as you say, there's that choice, what I want to do. And when you are really down, reach out to someone. There's so many people out there willing to help at this time, particularly for free. And you know, get the help you need so that you can then empower yourself to use the techniques that people have been talking about here. So
that's lovely. Thank you, Lee. That's great. What I love about this is the new things, the new ways of seeing things, even though we're all trained in the same or similar approaches. We're individual human beings, and so we've got something fresh to bring to it. I love that, and I expect that since everyone listening will have their own uniqueness. So some of what some of us say will hit home, and maybe some other things will just float by, and that's fine. And that's why we've set this up, isn't it, to have as a conversation. We're not doing webinars about it. We're just being here for you all, to give you hope and to show you how you can take charge and manage things. So we haven't got Benjamin then. That's a shame.
Can I just say as well that if you reframe the situation that you're looking at, and you'll find usefulness in the situation if you look at it from a different point of view as well, seeing the opportunity in the situation. What else can this mean? How can it be useful? What are the challenges? What are the advantages of the challenges? And just to try and use our mindset to create that different way of looking at the situation, just zooming out of the box a bit. I love to zoom out because it brings everything in perspective for me, and everything makes so much more sense when you zoom out. Because when, like the other day, I'll give you an example. I wanted to take my son out of school a week before the other kids went out of school. I just had an inner gut feeling. I just wanted him out. And we've had autoimmune problems ourselves in the past, you know, so I'm coming from a learned place, you know, which isn't always the greatest thing, but you know, that's how I am at the moment. And so from that place, I decided, because everyone was telling me, no, do what the government says, do what everyone else is saying. To me, it was against every bone in my body not to protect him and not to get him out of where I felt would have been a more dangerous situation for him at that time. So I was lying in bed the week before, and I was in a bit of a weird place because I thought, I'm feeling this, but everyone's telling me else. And I thought, okay, I'm going to zoom out. So I zoomed out, and I thought, is it going to be important if I take him out of school for this week in a year's time? And I thought, no, it's not going to be important. And I thought, okay, well, this is good. So then I thought, I'll zoom out 5 years time. Now my son's 10 years old, right? So I thought, is it going to be important in 5 years' time? Will I even remember this situation, how I'm feeling, if I take him out of school and do what I really want to do? And I thought, no, it's not important. So I made that decision at that time. I'm taking him out of school, and I actually could relax. Once I made that decision, I felt at peace with myself, and it didn't matter what anyone said or anyone thought of how I acted, because I felt right with myself. So that's just my little share of
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really great, and that's a lovely solid technique to use, isn't it? That is really great. I love that, and it's true. And you might I can encourage everyone to see that this works, because if you think back, well, some of you are still in this time of teething and babies not sleeping, but I have 4 daughters, and I remember that at the time it seemed like the teething and the waking in the night and the not settling and not napping was going on forever. And the thing I learned about it is that, yes, as time goes by, that becomes the tiniest speck on your timeline and their timeline, and it is it is of no matter, it's of no consequence. I think that's what you're saying, Danielle, isn't it? It actually is of no consequence. So give yourself that space to look ahead, just, yes, pull out. So this time, in a year's time, in 5 years' time. That's fantastic. I love that.
And there's no rules as well. We're in a whole place at the moment where everything is completely gone, and there are no rules. All that the rules are important are what means to you and how you live your day and how you can make your little world as beautiful and as great as you can possibly make it. And that means being true to yourself, authentic to yourself, and listening to yourself and just trusting yourself. That's from my point of view.
Absolutely. And I work with often with so I work with anxiety and confidence and have a speciality with children. So I work with regular home educating families. One of the things that I often bring up is, because they may say to me, well, oh, my husband's family, they're just against it. They're all against it, and they're worried about this, and they tell me we're doing it wrong, and they blah, blah, blah. And the one thing I say to them is, it's your call. It's not their call. It's your call. You are the parent. Yes, you may have to discuss this with their father, because these are situations where there's separation maybe as well. Yes, it's his call as well, the two of you. It is absolutely not the call of his family. And I think that comes into what you're saying, Danielle, isn't it? Well, it doesn't matter what anybody is saying on Facebook. Look for those things that are your call, and you call it. You be brave, be courageous, and call it. Something else I on my own part, some other things I'd like to add is one of my daughters, I don't think well, I won't name her anyway. I don't think she'll mind me mentioning this. One of my daughters recently had something really tough to get through, and she shared with me her form of resilience. I must say, I was questioning that she was using any resilience. I was questioning it. But she explained to me, she showed me how actually she was resilient. And so personality comes into it. So I want to tell you this story so that you don't just suddenly declare that you don't have any resilience. I want you to know you may have some, that hidden treasure, that you may be accessing that hidden treasure, but it may not look like anyone else's. So for her, she is a dramatic personality, and she is sensitive. She has always been sensitive from being ever so little. So this is how she first meets something. There's drama, there's concern, there may be fear. She fortunately, because it helps her, she shares it with the rest of us, and we all get this story from her, the fearful story and the drama of it all. But as she pointed out to me, she will not stay there. She might be there for a day, she might be there for a week even. She will not stay there. How she put it was, because it just isn't in me. I will not still be doing this in a month, in 6 months, in a year. However long it takes, I will not stay in that place. And I thought it changed my mind, because to be fair, I was thinking, she doesn't demonstrate resilience, but she's perfectly right. She does in her own way. She just needs some time. She needs to get through that drama. And then she's right. She will never stay there. She's never stayed in any of the unresourceful places that she's been in her life. As a family, we tend to be quite, we tend to be not so sensitive, and kind of crack on with things and let's get it done right away. But that does not mean you're not resilient. We've got plenty of time. We've lots of time left, ladies, today, because we've cracked on.
I've got, Linda, I had something else I could add.
Yes, thank you.
I was just thinking it was about, there's a brilliant TED talk by someone called Joan Rosenberg, and she's a psychologist in the States. And she talks about uncomfortable feelings, because often when we feel we need to be resilient, it's because we're feeling uncomfortable in some way. And her talk is all about how uncomfortable feelings are really, all they are hormones just going through our bodies. Because our brain, we think a thought, or we get triggered by a smell, or something happens, you know, it takes us back to an old memory that's uncomfortable. Something happens in our body, and then we feel uncomfortable in our body, and then we want to push it away, we want to stop it. And her theory is, rather than doing that, is, as we all know, it's better to go into the feeling, feel the feeling, and then just allow it to evaporate. And scientists have measured that most uncomfortable feelings last about 90 seconds. As long as you just allow it. It's the pushing away or suppressing it that keeps it going. And so allowing the feeling and just inviting it in, and I think we talked about before about how you can just invite the feeling, sit with it, or maybe ask it to sit next to you and talk to it and find out what it's got to say, and just welcome it and thank it for its message. And the same thing for pain, just invite it in. Thank you, pain. What are you telling me? What's, you know, thank you for the message, and now you can leave now. That's good, you know. And just rather than fighting it or pushing against it, it's a case of you giving it energy when you do that. So allowing it in and allowing it out again, and just allowing then things to flow through. And the other point I wanted to make is when we're not resilient, like you were saying with your daughter, Linda, is that to be okay with that, and to be okay with not being okay. And because sometimes it's beating ourselves up, it's that the beating ourselves up for feeling uncomfortable is more damaging than the uncomfortable feeling in the first place. And the more we can just accept ourselves and accept that emotions and feelings, and not feeling resilient in one moment, and not being able to access that inner power and resilience we all have inside of us, and that confidence we all have inside of us. Just being okay with not being able to do it in the moment, and saying, okay, it's going to take me a day, and accept that, and that's how I do it, and then that's great. But it's the more we can avoid beating ourselves up and judging ourselves and criticizing ourselves for not being good enough to not have this feeling, you know, accepting the fact we're all imperfect, we all live messy lives. None of us here, I mean, we help thousands of people, but we still have messy lives ourselves, and we're all working with this stuff too. And so it's important that we all understand that we all need help now and again, sometimes, to get out of this thing on our own. And when you do need help, there are people like us around to help with that. But yeah, not beating yourself up when you feel that way, and not beating up the feeling either, because the feeling is there for a reason. Understand what that reason is, and then you can move forward, and then you grow. And our purpose in life, I believe, is about growing. It's all these things, all these hard things we do in life. That's how we grow, how we deal with these emotions and these feelings. We learn from that so much, and then we can then take that and we can tell our children about how to do it, and we can help our friends with it. We can spread that, and it's that growth. And I believe that people saying, oh, what's my path, what's my purpose? The only purpose we have is to get inside and work out what these things are, and move forward and grow from it, and then help others to do the same. And then, to me, I feel that growth is the best thing you can do, above making money and above creating, building things. It's about creating yourself and growing from that and learning from it. And these are all experiences that when we heal from, we're even stronger than we were before. Like a broken bone is stronger than before it was broken.
Absolutely. And what I'm seeing, I'm doing daily lives on Facebook for everyone, and what I want from it is exactly that. Not that we will just manage and cope with coronavirus and lockdown, but that we will come out of it stronger. We will still be standing, and we will be stronger. Now I can see Benjamin is there, so I'm going to grab him. I'm just going to grab him while he's there. So it's your turn, Benjamin. Come on, you're up.
Oh, I can't hear you, Benjamin. No, Mike.
That's it.
Hello.
Woo!
Hey, how are you?
Good morning, love.
It's really nice to see you all. Yeah, we've been really busy this morning, and apologies for joining in late. And the topic of what we've been speaking about here really is there's always value in whatever's happening. And I get it, it's really difficult for even us sometimes to see that value, or, you know, focus in the direction of finding that value. So, you know, resilience, bounce back muscle, the capacity to recover from, you know, challenges, if you like, or toughness, it is pretty much, isn't that the whole body of work that we all get involved in, really? You know, it's interesting because I found myself in recent days, since we were last on, having to lovingly leave people who I love and care about, leave them where they are. And what I mean by that is you can have all the techniques and the tools and the, you know, everything you know because you've probably used them. And you know, because you have seen success in client sessions, for instance, that this will work for you. But with everything that's going on out there, it's about having that awareness of when knowing to speak, and having that inspiration, that inspired thought, if you like, to then leave it with them, or going a bullet again, go, no, I know this will work for you. You're worrying, you're thinking about things. You know, it seems like every day the media want you to worry about something, or they give you something to think about. And, you know, as much as I say I don't watch the news and everything else, I have watched it in recent, not this week, but last week. I found at 5 p.m. I was logging on to Sky News, and I was thinking, what am I doing? I've never watched the news in like 4 years, but I need to know what Boris is saying. I found myself, and then I could feel myself participating and hear myself in conversations I would never have before. So it was having that awareness of knowing when to step back and lean in the direction of what I want, instead of just letting it all come at me. And that's what we've been working on today, is making sure that the people we're coaching or mentoring or wherever it is, understand that there is value in everything that's happening, and for them not to make it more complicated than it is. Because from my point of view, and the point of view is, as you know, the body of work I do now, source energy, law of attraction, joy is a choice. Joy is a choice, and it really doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters is how you feel while you're doing it. So for me, there isn't an NLP is wonderful, obviously, EFT, CBT, whatever the techniques are or the modalities are, it's about how you feel while you're doing it. So that's what we've been encouraging people to do this week, is just, like I said the other day, to give themselves a break, you know, get off the subjects that are causing them pain, make focus wheels and all of these wonderful things that can just train yourself to focus in the direction of what you do want, how you do want to feel, and then that will probably serve you very well during these times. But like I said, it's about me training myself currently to lovingly leave people where they are, as much as I want to help everyone. It's about having that discipline to go, everything's working out perfectly in my little world, if you like. And because I've got that awareness of everything's always working out for all of us, and well-being is dominant and has and always will prevail, some people don't want to hear that, because they're like, how on earth is he talking like that, source energy, when this is going on? Well, I'm not spinning on that disc of this is going on. I'm spinning on the disc of, you know, perfect health. Everything's working out for me. People don't want to hear that. It's about settling down and just being there for when anybody wants to speak. I have people who are no longer speaking to me during this time, and I'm perfectly all right with it, because how I speak, source energy, universal laws, is not what they want to hear. What they want to do is, as you know, birds of a feather flock together, is participate in a conversation that is going to take you down the wrong path. You're always on your path, but it'll take you in a different direction. So it is like Kate was saying, and I loved what Kate was saying, it is an attraction-based universe. And when Kate's talking about when you're pushing against something, you're just getting more of it. You know, I am a witness to this in everything that I've ever done. You know, and whatever I do now, I always acknowledge that feeling, going, you know, it was so difficult, acknowledge it, and then lean in the direction of what you want. But don't stay there telling everybody on stage, if you like, about, this is just my opinion, by the way, about your story, because what may happen in doing that is then now they'll think that the struggle and sacrifice and effort that you've been through and gone through, they have to endure themselves, and they really don't. They really don't have to. So that's where we are. You know, how many times also, we were talking this morning, and I'll do this quickly, have you had a good idea, maybe an unpopular idea? I'm going to study this, I'm going to watch this, I'm not going to do what the family are doing during this social distancing, as we like to call it, self-discovery. And because somebody else didn't think it was a good idea, you didn't do it. How many times do we do that? You know, we do that more often than what we know. If you stood back and listen and just wrote down some of the things that you've had. I was talking to my son-in-law only the weekend about it, and I said, when you've got that idea, that's your idea. Take, whether you believe in God, source, it doesn't really matter to me. I said, but that's your idea. It's an inspired thought. So that inspired thought that you may want to create a business while you're at home now, your wife doesn't have to agree to it. Who's my daughter? She doesn't have to agree. She hasn't walked in your shoes. She hasn't got that connection, that alignment. That's yours for you. Don't let them pass you by now is probably the most important thing I could say to anyone. You know, if you've got an idea about an online business or taking something online or just having some time to yourself, embrace it for what that is. There is a path of least resistance, and the resistance that is on the path is the resistance that we've put there ourselves. It's about knowing that, and, you know, being willing to focus in the direction of what you want. I get it's difficult and it's hard, and we've all got other stuff going on and people contributing to what we're thinking and feeling. But it's about being kind to yourself, like I said on the other day, not only with your thoughts, but also your behaviour. It's okay if your partner doesn't like what you're doing at the moment. That's their business. You know, if your friends and your family are like, what you're doing that for, they really don't need to know. You know, you just follow the good feeling thoughts. And like Kate was saying about this 90 seconds, you follow them and hold those good feeling thoughts long enough for one reason, so another one joins it. And unfortunately, people do gratitude pads, appreciation. We do rampages of appreciation here in the morning. But people do these things and they don't do them for long enough. And then they fall back into where they are and they go, Ben, it's not working. And I go, well, what do you mean it's not working? I said, that's for you. It's not working. It's not because you're not worthy enough, because you are. It's not because you're not deserving enough, because we all are. The only reason it's not working is because you haven't become a vibrational match to what you want. If you want to feel good, I don't really use the word overcome anymore. But if you want to feel good, because like I put on the message of the day, overcome to me sounds like going upstream or uphill. So, you know, I try not to use that. That's just my own thing. But if you cannot put the resistance on your path, if you can then become a match to whatever it is you're thinking and wanting and your desires, and you don't have to go, because it's like taking somebody from depression down here to pure positive energy. The gap's too big. The gap's too big. To forget quantum leaps, the gap's too big. Just gently, meaningful advances is what people are looking for, especially in this time. And that's my take on resilience. And that's my take on what this is now. And I appreciate you all doing the marvellous work that you're doing. I think you're all incredible individually and collectively. And I can only see this growing and getting bigger. And when everybody's doing their thing, we'll get on a stage together, all of us.
Yeah.
Can I add something here?
Do that.
Yes. Talking about the why is it hard to jump from that low place to the high place and not resisting this? I think there is a very nice trick, because we don't know what that negative state is there for. Usually, always there is a positive intention, right? So we might be misinterpret that negative behavior, and deep down, it happens for a reason. that is some sort of protection happening there. That negative feeling, that negative reaction plays a certain role. We all agree on that, right? It has a positive intention. So a way to do that quantum leap, is to acknowledge that, for those who are willing, of course, Benjamin, I agree that not everybody is going to will to do this. But for those who are listening or watching this video and are willing to try, that negative reaction has a purpose, has a positive intention, and you can discuss with your unconscious mind and allow it. You know, you have to have a certain level of communication with your body, but you can ask your unconscious mind, what is that particular positive intention that you're doing now with this feeling, you know? And then you can ask your unconscious mind as well, can you find at least 3, 4, 5 new strategies that will do exactly the same, that will bring me exactly the same positive reward or protection, but that will, and at the same time, enable me to feel more joy? Because there are other ways. There is an infinity of possibilities of being and reacting, or maybe not an infinity, but large enough for us to have a choice at any given moment. So we can do it that way, rather than say, oh, I feel negative and they feel negative. Okay, what's the feeling negative is fantastic. How do we know that that negative feeling is not resilience? How do we know that essentially the purpose of that negative reaction is not to survive or to find a way to cope with this? Because that's what it is. So rather than saying, okay, you should stop being negative, okay, take that. That's perfect. Say your unconscious mind and your body, thank you so much for doing that, for having that knot in my stomach and for making me worry. I understand that that helped. But what else is possible now? What other possibilities, what other strategies are possible? And usually when you do just a very light state of relaxation, you can do that. But as Benjamin was saying, it takes training. It is. Now I realize I personally feel so good during these times. I have a hard time explaining it to others. And I even put a note on Facebook. I said, I have this feeling. I just know that this will bring something fantastic. And I got so many negative comments on that. Like, how dare you? How dare you be so positive when the world is collapsing? I said, the world is not collapsing, guys. And that's why I'm feeling good with you here, because I can finally be myself and just say, well, listen, I find that this is great. And it's unfortunate that this virus is killing people, that people are dying of all kinds of other things every day in many different ways. So the best is to keep on being like holding on to what I believe and what I feel right and true. And one last point I'd like to bring is the ability to know what's true to you. Do you have in your body a possibility to validate something, like to get a yes or a no? This is a very important question. And this is what I work with people usually when they want to take a decision. Is this right for me or not? Do you have a solid, a valid confirmation in your body for a yes? Like when you are asking yourself, let's say you're all here, all of us now, let's ask our bodies, is this really something bad happening? Or is it something fantastic? So then you're going to get a yes or a no, and then you're going to trust that and follow that. Yes, you want to say something, Danielle?
If you zoom out as well, everything that's happening right now, it's unity. If you zoom out, looking down and back on the situation, all we will remember, all the stuff that's been going on and that is going on, and that all these wonderful people that are helping everybody in this world to carry on and move forward and to get strong and go in that direction. The one thing we will remember is the time that everyone was united in a single push for humanity, and that, I think, is the most important thing for me anyway.
That is, yeah, it's true. It's so true. It's so true what you say, Susanna, as well. Thank you, Benjamin, for everything you've said. Susanna, it's yesterday. I've always had an idea that any kind of adversity, they're not always, no, but from when I began to understand how life works, from every adversity, there is some gold. In every adversity, there's some gold. And you need to, or we can, sorry, not need to, we can keep going, reach a point where you see what that gold is, you grab hold of it and you say, if I could go back and press a button to have this not happen, I would not press that button. I've got my gold. Yesterday was my day for this. I'm not saying this is the same for everyone, people that have lost relatives and people close to them, of course not. Those that are still ill, no, of course not. But for me personally, I got my gold yesterday. It got me off the daybed of oh, I'm an introvert marketer, I only post once in it. I leapt off of that bed last week, and I've done Facebook Lives every day, and I've done a couple of these videos. No, I'm no longer who I thought I was. It just has opened doors for me, and now I've got ideas. So I've tons of ideas, Benjamin, ideas. I'm reading a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Now she wrote, I believe she wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Now I took against that. I don't know why, but I will read it again now. It's because I'm loving this book. And she has a theory about ideas, just a theory, just a way of seeing things. She believes that ideas are separate entities, and they float around the universe, or they float around us all in our lives. They float around and they come and present themselves to the right person. And you can accept or decline. You don't have to accept all of them. You can accept or decline. And I like that idea. And I thought when you were saying, Benjamin, that this is an idea for you or for your son-in-law, whatever, it's not an idea. No one else gets the opportunity to accept or decline, because it wasn't presented to them. So that's fantastic. One thing, so we're getting on, ladies, we've only got about 4 minutes left. What I wanted to say as well, I don't know the lady you spoke of, Kate, about what you said. Oh yes, being uncomfortable, about feeling uncomfortable, but I do know Brené Brown, who presents exactly the same idea. We have got to be, we haven't got to, we can, it may be beneficial for us if we learn how to sit with discomfort. Don't run away from it. And that discomfort can be great, big discomfort. It can be really horrible. But and Brené Brown quotes that part of who's now Roosevelt's inaugural speech, well, one of his speeches anyway, where he talks about, it's known as the man in the arena, and it is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to on mine. I'm going to get that link, and on my page when I post this, I'm going to put that in one of the comments, because that is an absolutely fabulous thing. Because basically what she's saying is, if you get into the arena, the man in the arena with his face in the dust, he may be on the ground and he's bleeding and his face is in the dust, but he is the doer of deeds. He is in the arena and he is trying. And what she says is not, we may fail. You've got to be prepared for the fact that we may fail. She says, quite rightly, we will. If we are in the arena, there will be failure. We will, what we could call fail. We may struggle. We will struggle. There will be times that we struggle and we won't like it. However wonderful we think we might be, and however marvelous all our techniques are and ideas of energy and everything, there will be times, if we are doing enough, there will be times when we feel uncomfortable. And as everyone here has said today, that's okay. That is perfectly okay. So does anybody, so we have only got 1 minute left.
Just get everyone that's in this talk. Yeah. Will everybody supply their Facebook links? And then when we post this, everyone's details will be on everyone's posts that put on their page, and then it's quite organised. That'll be lovely as well. And then maybe the link for the TED Talk as well. And
yeah, sure.
Linda, we'll just put it all in links, and then everyone can get in touch with us, or
Yes,
that'd be great.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Does anyone else have anything pressing that they? Yes, Lee.
No, I just quickly wanted to mention that, you know, Benjamin spoke about it, and again, you've spoken about it, and that is choice. And I recently read the book The Choice by Edith Eger, and she was going through concentration camps, and I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, she was at a point where she had a choice to eat human flesh or a blade of grass.
Wow.
And it was a choice she took at that point. I mean, that's kind of extreme in the book. But she had so many choices. And I keep thinking, when I find myself going down the rabbit hole, that I look at choice. What is my choice? Do I carry on? Or do I try and apply some of my things? Sometimes it works, sometimes there's resistance, sometimes but the more I try, the more I'm going on a better course. And so we do have choice. And even if you think you don't have choice, your choice is to believe that you don't have it. So.
Yes.
I think also it's, like you say, it's choice. And like Linda was saying about being in the arena, it's take some action, just do something.
Yeah.
Something, even if it's just like I think I said before, just move your body in a different way, do something different, just something different, because if you keep doing what you're doing now, you'll get what you've always had. Just do something different, try something.
Yeah, we always have the choice.
Minded and try it.
Yeah.
Sorry, say again, Marie.
But I say I believe absolutely we always have the choice, and even when we don't make that choice, we've actually chosen not to make the choice.
That's true.
Yes,
you know, we're constantly making the choice of something that will induce a reaction one way or another, and the next step. And to bounce on what Benjamin was saying, the choice to be happy is also a choice, and to cultivate that thought and put the focus on that, on what that we want, versus to what we want to avoid maybe, or we're not so happy. That's also a choice.
And if you can adopt this, that nothing has or is going wrong, there are some conditions that are not as you want them to be. Feel the difference in that than looking at something that it's, you know, there's conditions that, you know, I wouldn't want them to be like, but that's all good. It's all good. From me personally to you and everyone and all your viewers, we want you to feel love for your life and the people in it. And most of all for yourself, feel that love and start at that point in whatever you're going to do today, tonight, tomorrow, this afternoon. Try and find that point of feeling love for yourself, and then add to it and hold the thought long enough so another one joins it, and enjoy the journey. We certainly are. And like I said, that's probably why some people are avoiding me like the plague, but we're enjoying it. You know, it's important, and we're just going to shine a light on what does work. We're going to shine a light on what works for us, and we're going to shine a light on love, because that's exactly what everybody needs right now.
Okay, so I think we are done. It is just after, it's going on for 12:05. I'm
going to stop recording then, yeah?
Yes, please, Danielle. Yeah. So, and
thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you for watching.
Right, stop cloud recording.